Hello and welcome to the Data Career Academy podcast. This is a show dedicated to closing the information gap between data job seekers and hiring authorities about the challenging data analytics job market. My name's Albert Bellamy. I'm the host of the show, and it's my goal to highlight aspiring data analysts and their abilities in order to get them hired, to spotlight recent hires and how they successfully navigated the hiring process, as well as to find out from real industry experts what the job market looks like from the hiring side and how all of that can benefit you, the listener. So let's get into today's episode. So here we are. This is, I don't even know what the podcast is called. I'll be honest with you. The Major Data Podcast, who knows? At one point I had an idea that this was going to be called Tell Me About Your Data. Um, I don't know. I had this image of like a Leave It to Beaver kind of, one of those old school like 1950s artwork things. And it was, anyway, I don't know if we'll ever get that high class, but anyway, tell me about your data. Works pretty well with the first question here to a job seeker, which is what you are. Claudia, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Albert, for inviting me here today. Um, my name is Claudia Amador. I have a background in computer science, and my first career was as a software engineer, where I really built up my analytical and problem-solving skills, and most importantly, my SQL skills, because I worked for a database company and I created features for that company. And then after a while, I really wanted to contribute back to the state's public education system, what it had given me. So I went into education. I taught math and computer science. And I like to say that it really taught me how to be a human being, because up to that point, I had really focused on those analytic skills. And as a teacher, I developed skills in empathy, communication, and conflict resolution. However, after a while, I realized that that kind of environment wasn't the best for my temperament. So I took a data science course and learned that Excel had really come a long way since I first learned about it. And I learned about Tableau and machine learning and those other data science topics. And I went into educational data. And I was able to combine my technical background and my educational background. And I was able to revamp my SQL skills and run lots of reports. I specialize in data quality and regulatory compliance, and I am skilled in SQL, Tableau, and Excel. And most recently, I improved the data quality at the university where I was working by doing root cause analysis for a data set that had a 10% error rate. I created scripts, this is where SQL came in, that removed duplicates and corrected some formatting issues. And I also did some research to find alternative data sources. So data quality is very important to me, as is data documentation. And currently, I'm looking for my next role as a data and reporting analyst, where I can bring all of this varied skill set together and support decision making.
Okay, good. Yeah, I didn't have a time. I keep thinking I should put a timer on the screen or something and be like, because I know I told everybody 3 minutes. You got to keep it under 3 minutes. It felt good. Felt
Yeah, I think that was
yeah,
interesting.
it felt tight. I like it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed SQL. You're spelling it out. Okay, to each his own, I
that's
suppose.
how I learned it.
Yeah. Usually it's a pretty sharp divide, isn't it? Is usually Americans we say SQL and kind of non-Americans it's generally spelled out. So yeah, we did start a cult one time. Me and a couple other data analysts started calling it Squirrel. We called ourselves
Oh,
Team Squirrel. So it was
uh-huh.
some joke that someone dropped on a podcast. But go figure, everything cool happens on a podcast, right?
Hmm.
But yeah, love that you related a non, a semi-unrelated data field. You related particularly the soft skills, but also the technical skills that you use there into analytics. So that's, I think, is fantastic. And yeah, in a situation where you're in an interview and you're going to be asked to tell us about yourself, that's a key skill. So someone smart must have told you to do that. But the one thing, if I could nitpick just a tad, I would say best for my temperament. That would, I don't know, that would cause more questions. Yeah, I would just
Mm.
say, hey, it was time for me to push off and find something new. So yeah, I think and besides, your temperament's awesome. We've worked together enough that I can say that with confidence.
It's
So
really in reference to my being an introvert. Being like customer
okay,
facing every day, hour after hour is just, it's very hard. I think you do,
absolutely.
yeah.
And I think if you put it that way, that's that's a winning strategy. If
Mhm.
you just say, hey, it's just teaching kids, it's just not really how I'm wired. And it was a wonderful experience, but it was time to move on.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think you can say that. It's honest, it's forthcoming, but it's saying, hey, here's why I'm looking for something new.
Mhm.
But yeah, always got to put that positive spin on it. But
Okay.
so the question is, how aggressively are you job searching? Like, are you all in on this? Are you kind of doing the port and starboard, like working over here and searching over here? What are we doing?
I recently have really become invested in ramping it up. I was
Hmm.
having a more relaxed approach initially. My last assignment was a year long and it finished in August. And it's an education. Education usually takes a while to get the process going. So I applied to a couple of jobs. They were kind of adjacent to data analysis and reporting, but I
Mhm.
made it to the final round and I just didn't get the
Awesome.
final um, you know,
Yeah.
callback. So right now I'm ramping it up. I'm looking at exploring other fields besides education. And I'm really focused on job applications looking for new opportunities. And also I'm working on networking. I just applied to a mortgage company. So I said, who do I know from a mortgage company? Well, there's this one person who's like 2 degrees away from me. Let me reach out to them. And last week I applied to a healthcare institution and I was connected to some people from that institution. So I reached out to them. So
Nice.
I'm really ramping it up. I'm going week by week to try and just do more of it, but I'm dedicating about 4 hours a day
Oh,
most.
awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is such a, the old Chinese proverb, right? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is today.
Yes.
And so there's kind of two ways to network. There's you network with the people that you already know,
Mhm.
and then you can also, if you're, in that gear, you can network with new people, but it can be very difficult to sort of build that rapport and that skin in the game and to where that network connection becomes productive when you're in a, kind of a pressurized, it doesn't sound like you're pressurized, but when you're in active job searching mode, always better to get those network connections before you need them. And then you can be like, hey, haven't talked in a little while. Let me tell you what I'm up to.
Yeah.
That is definitely the best way to do it.
Yeah. In
So,
addition to that, I'm also
yeah,
working part-time just because for me, I just feel better as a human being to have somewhere to go a few days a week and be
yeah,
productive. So I'm working as
yeah,
in school.
yeah. That it's funny. That brings up kind of a good question. I don't think I've ever thought of how people can kind of get stagnant, just mentally, and certainly can get down on themselves when they're just, 8, 10, 12 hours a day job searching. I'm sure it grinds on you. I don't think I've ever been in that situation myself, circumstance being a big part of that. But yeah, I think that probably bears some examination somewhere down the road. I'll have to make a
Yeah,
note
if
of that
people
one.
can swing it, a part-time job, that's what I have,
Yeah,
and a little bit of
keeps you
pocket
sane.
money. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, keeps a
And,
couple
and
bills
meet
paid, keeps you
people.
sane. It's good.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's plenty of talk about the job market and, what is the nature of the job market. Now, my opinion because we've been in classes together. No pressure. I am happy to be proven wrong or even suggested wrong. What are you seeing in the job market right now? I know you've said you've gotten to the end of a couple of interview processes, so you're getting into interviews and just haven't quite closed the deal on them. What does the job market look like to you?
It's different than it's been in the past because in the
Mm,
past, the approach that I was taking until recently had worked. Um, a more relaxed pacing. I was very targeted in my applications. And
When you say in the past, how long, how far back are we talking?
so the first data job I got was in 2021,
Okay.
and I had a more relaxed approach to it. I only applied to like one job a week, which I think is very little. But it was also very specific. I was looking for a certain kind of job in a community college, near that was driving distance from me. I do prefer having a site that's near me. I don't like the
Hmm.
idea of working 100% remote. So there's limited opportunities in that area, and I just would wait for that opportunity to show up. But I think right now, I was actually quite surprised to get to the end of an interview process and not make the deal. So I'm actually really happy that you ramped up with this coaching that you've been doing lately because it sort of re-energized my enthusiasm. I was a little
Aw.
bummed because the last job I had was really the job I wanted at the institution I wanted. So
Mm.
getting over that took a little bit of time. And I think even while I was applying, I didn't have my full heart into it because I was still mourning a little bit of that. But in addition to my own personal issues with the job market, I think it's just different. I've been talking to different people who are currently also searching, and they're either getting ghosted or if they're lucky, they get a thank you, we've received your application, and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's just crickets.
So when you say ghosted, I know there are many. This is one of those Gen Z terms. There are many different definitions of that. What do if you know, what do they mean by ghosted? Who's ghosting?
So, so what I mean by that is that there's like initial interest and then nothing.
Okay.
And for me, the interest is, we received your application. I'm a very optimistic person, so I get that when I'm like, oh yes, they
Yeah.
like me. But I know that
So you've
there's
gotten some confirmation that
yes,
there's communication there.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes,
I get
yes.
that.
So yeah, maybe ghosted is too harsh of a term, but just like not no further communication after that initial
Yeah.
communication. And then also months go by and there's no like, we found our candidate. Thank you so much for applying. That one hurts my feelings a little bit, but I understand they all have a job to do, and once they find who they need to move
Yeah.
forward with that.
Let me tell you, I've heard that from my own company
Mhm.
uh last year. So it's yeah, that never gets easier, no matter, and I was in a perfectly secure job at the time, but had my heart set on something new, and they said, "Yeah, we're going a different direction." Oof. Never never really sits right. If you, like you said, if you got your heart set on something and you're like, "Wow, this is really intriguing. This could be great for me."
Oh, and then
Somebody
I just
tells you
thought of
no.
something more about what I meant
Mm,
by that. In those jobs applications where I got several rounds in and made a bit of a connection with the hiring manager even, and it's sounding very positive in our interactions. At the end, they choose someone else, and I'm very happy for them. I send them a
mm.
note, congratulations, I'm glad you found a good fit. But then I always ask for feedback, and I haven't gotten a response back from that as
Yeah.
well.
I've actually part of this, I'm actively pursuing a couple of recruiters and hiring managers to come on this show, and I got a couple that I know will do it. It's just working out the schedule.
Yeah.
There are actually really good legal reasons why they cannot or generally will not provide feedback. I mean, they get sued.
Okay.
And yes, and just for saying the most innocuous things, just hey, we found someone that was slightly more skilled. You were highly competitive, but and next thing I know, there's a some sort of discrimination lawsuit on them with the person having no idea who they were competing against. So, I don't know how you prove discrimination in that case, but yeah, I've heard some horror stories, and so I do know a couple of good people in the hiring chain that will try to give feedback when they can. But yeah, it is a bit of a minefield on all sides. And that's why I recommend people like, hey, have some patience and give everybody some grace because everyone's out there trying to do a good job. Job seekers, job granters, all of them. So yeah, hopefully I can create a little more understanding with this, talking to different people from different sides.
Mhm.
But so cool. So the market, it's interesting. It is a market. It's doing market things. So what would you say is your strategy as far as the job search, the application process? Do you have a regimented approach? Is there some sort of process? Do you have systems in place? What's the overall Claudia approach to job searching right now?
So right now I'm in the process of changing my processes. What it used to be was uh, once a week I would apply to a job, and because most of
Mm,
these were in education, I you didn't have to apply right away. They usually have closing deadlines, and I would prepare a lot. Like I'd spend a lot of time making my resume applicable using the same language that they use in their job listing. And currently, I'm still looking at some of those educational sites, but I'm also looking at other sites like dice.com or Indeed. I never really looked at those kind of sites before. And finding
okay.
a few different applications that I want, or a few different jobs I want to apply to. And then I do it. Like I said, I set myself a schedule. I start, at 8 in the morning. I work until noon. And then I'm also looking at ramping that up. There's a local job center here that will look at my resume with me, will give me advice about what I should be doing. And one of the things she told me was you should be applying 3 to 5 jobs a day, which is, it seems like a big lift. We'll see how close I get to that. But that's my goal, as well as some of the things that you talk about in terms of improving your LinkedIn profile, putting out some more content, and networking online. I also
Yeah.
signed up for a course from Alex the analyst that had to do with like a
Okay.
job search. And
Yes.
and one of the things he recommended there was to find like a recruiter or a consulting company to work with. So I'm also, those are all things that I'm adding week by week, a different element to my job search process. So I'm really wanting to use all of the tips that people have given me, yourself included, and put them to practice, for no
Yeah.
other reason, just to feel like I'm making progress. Making change will feel like progress. Um, and it'll just put my name out there in front of more AI things, probably what are they called? ATR or something.
The
Um,
ATS.
ATS, yes.
Yeah.
But also more real people. I have
Yep.
connected
Good.
already with a couple of different people on LinkedIn, and I'm taking a course right now on machine learning. And there's people there that have the kind of jobs that I would like in education.
Hmm.
So I'm not afraid to reach out to people and be rejected. Um, those are where I'm putting my energies, the networking and the job application.
You'll be surprised in the data industry. I have found that the even the influencers and the high level, you know, half a million followers or whatever.
Hmm.
Alex connected with me when I was first starting out, and lots of other, Ken G, who had a huge podcast at the time, and
Yeah,
I was stunned at how many people I could just send them a DM and they would connect with me. And
yeah,
then I had a direct line to him and I could just ask him questions. And I was just like, this is great. I've never, you can't go on Instagram and like send somebody, famous person a DM and they're just like, sure, let's be buds.
yeah,
So yeah, great characteristic of the data industry.
yeah.
And yeah, highly recommend Alex's stuff. Alex has seen the hiring game from every angle.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, what he says is generally the gospel. I've found a couple of things I disagree with him over the years I've been listening to him, but
Hmm.
yeah, you can't go too far wrong following the man. Even in the podcast game, funny enough.
Yeah, he's good at
Um,
it.
so if you've already covered it, just double tap on it. What's been your toughest lesson learned so far?
I think my toughest lesson is always that things are always changing, and I adapt to whatever the current situation is. And it's a challenge for me to see things change again and change so rapidly. The thing I learned about the job search process is it is different than it was just a few years ago. It is more competitive. People are applying, on LinkedIn with that simple apply. I see the job listing. It's only been out 5 minutes and there's like 100 applicants already. So adapting to those rapid changes has been a real challenge for me, but I'm ready for it. My husband bought me a book called Who Moved Your Cheese? And that really
I hear good
helps.
things. I have not
Yeah.
read it myself.
It's such a simple little book, and it
Yeah.
basically just tells you things change and you have to find a
Yep.
different path to get your cheese.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on my list of many, many books to eventually
It's
read.
super
Uh,
short. If I still have it, if I find it, I'll mail
okay.
it out to you.
Awesome. So I mean, let's advertise you a little bit. What's your professional superpower? What would you say like, hey, this is the reason someone ought to hire me?
I think I have a lot of diverse experiences, but I think one of the greatest natural skills I have is in explaining difficult concepts. When I was teaching high
Mhm.
school, the principal came in to observe my classroom, and we were learning about slopes. And I made that lesson very relevant to my students. They were super excited to tell me what their input was because I chose something that was relevant to them to describe slopes. They really like skateboarding, and it turns out the slope has a big impact on your ride.
Oh wow.
So all the kids were telling me all the different places in town where you could get a really nice ride, and maybe some of them that were too scary. But they really internalized the concept of slopes. And this is something that translates every time I talk to someone in terms of whatever complex concept I'm trying to explain. I really put myself in a position where I try to learn about a person's background, about what's
Mhm.
important to them. And I really try to listen so that when I present information, I keep my audience in mind. So I think that's my superpower. I really uh, have learned to pay attention to where people are and meet them there.
Yeah. Have you read How to Win Friends and Influence People?
I have not.
Ah, you got to. It
Mm,
reflects a lot of the things you talked about. I read
mhm,
it far too late in life. I should force all my sons to read it right now because I wish I'd read
mhm.
it in my 20s. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of what you were talking about there absolutely resonates. How do you meet people on their level? Um, and just, works all over the place as a leader in the Marine Corps. It was how do you meet Marines on their level? To lead them properly, you've got to be speaking their language. Their language could be a half dozen different things. The things that motivate them may be different. Same thing in job searching. It's all sales. And you've got to meet the target audience on their level. And so what does the recruiter need to hear from me? What does the hiring manager need to hear from me? What language do these, if you're interviewing with three people and
Mhm.
there's a HR person and there's a technical expert and there's your manager if you get hired, what do each of these people need to hear from me? So that's great. And also I will say all of Avery Smith's minions, all of the many, many teachers that he gets listen up because Claudia just sold the teaching experience like a pro and translated a tremendous and rare skill, which is just simple communication, really. But translating difficult concepts like mathematical concepts like slope to people that maybe wouldn't otherwise be inclined to understand them and using a story and a relatable concept in order to do it. Hey, that's data communication right there. I mean, you're going to be briefing people that aren't data savvy. So perfect skill to bring into an interview. Did you use that in the long interview process where you came up a bit short at the end? Or is that a
I
new
always
tool in your
tell the
arsenal?
story. I
Okay,
always tell that story. And
awesome.
there's other places where I've used that skill. And the most exciting thing is to see the audience engage with the concept you're presenting to them.
Yeah,
Because it's like it feels like a home run. I'm not an athletic person or that ever played sports really, but that must be what a home run feels like because everyone's excited about math, which was a super hard thing to get kids excited about, but it translates to anything you're trying to tell people about data
yeah.
or programming or anything.
I played Little League Baseball for 2 years, and I also cannot tell you what it feels like to hit a home run. I do have
Oh,
I have two sons that have done it, so I lived vicariously through them.
mm,
But yeah, sports ball was not hitting a round ball with a round bat was not my thing.
mm.
Um, okay, so I know that are you focusing exclusively on the education space, or are you branching out into others?
Right now, I'm looking into branching out to other
All right.
other industries, and I have some ideas. Like there's local companies here. I live in a community that is not too far from like an industry center. Like I'm not too far from
Okay.
Irvine, for example. But I'm still
Home
trying
of
to
all
figure
tricks.
out what's that?
Home of all tricks.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And the anteaters.
Yes, UC Irvine. Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm looking to see what kind of industries I want to target. I worked for a technology company for a very long time,
Hmm.
but I still have that heart of wanting to contribute to some institution that's purpose is beyond shareholder value. So I'm looking maybe in educational educational technology companies, or I'm considering healthcare or even government, but I really understand how a for-profit enterprise can also be good for the community. So I'm I've looked at some jobs in healthcare. That might be where I end up, but I understand it's a very nuanced terms and syntax that they use there, so that might be a challenge. But I've also looked at the mortgage industry. There's some players here locally. I'm still determining what that institution is going to look like.
Okay. It's, I'm concerned
Yes, I
that
know. Yeah,
is
but
a whole,
education is
that is a
hard.
wide range.
Yes. Let me explain that. The
Okay.
ideal place for me, I really want to be at a local community college. I think this is a very
Okay.
important educational sector. I'd love to be there, but
Yep.
currently it just seems very, very challenging to be in that place. I work with data, and a lot of the data type jobs in the community colleges around here require background in research, which I
Okay.
recently took a research methods course. So I have that tiny bit of experience, but my skill set is really in technical data analysis. So finding that niche role at a community college is going to be very challenging. That's why I'm looking at expanding. And I understand I too am like, well, what's that focus going to be? I should be focused.
Yeah.
I'm still in the process of understanding where I could fit the best.
Yeah. I would say you might get lucky in healthcare at a
Mhm.
low level, entry level
Yeah.
job, but it
Hmm.
is a healthcare analytics is just a walled garden. And they have a very specific language that is difficult to learn. They have specific processes. And yeah,
Yes.
I'm in the midst of writing a quick ebook on the job search. And that's one of the things that I want to hammer home to people. It's like, hey, you've got to working in different domains is like speaking different languages.
So
And they
can I ask you a question?
absolutely
What industries do you think are the easiest to hop into if you've not worked in that industry before in terms of data?
easiest to get into.
Yeah, like it doesn't have a whole lot of that nomenclature things
Mm.
that make it difficult.
They all do. However,
Mhm.
I would say marketing is I think the easiest because most people that are under the age of 70 and have grown up in some form with the internet age and the digital age,
Hmm.
most people have at least a surface level understanding of the terminology in marketing.
Okay.
Most people kind of understand. They might not know the terms themselves, but when you explain to someone bounce rate and impressions and cost per click, and it all just makes sense. They're like, okay, I'm on the internet. I get what that looks like.
Hmm.
Healthcare, if you're not kind of a chronically hospitalized person, if you don't work in healthcare, you don't understand the language at all.
Yeah.
And even the people that spend a lot of time getting treated, it's you're still probably not savvy on the processes and the platforms and all of that. They use all their own stuff. There is
Mm.
very little crossover between that and other domains. So that's what I would say is, you're familiar with Google.
Yeah,
Like 60% of marketing is a Google thing
I
in some
see.
form or another. Um, so yeah, going from one Google platform to another is not that hard.
Okay.
Uh, so yeah, I would say that might be the most approachable one. Also, there's generally plenty of jobs available in it. It's not one that people kind of gravitate towards naturally, which
Hmm.
is odd to me because I found it to be a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, that's generally my recommendation. Manufacturing is probably not too hard. Everybody knows, kind of
Mm.
everybody's done projects with like machine failure rates and stuff like that. Mean
Okay,
time to
that's good to
failure.
know.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
good. Good
absolutely.
information.
Um, so just out of curiosity, other than yours truly, what content creators do you follow? I know you name dropped Alex, as I do often. So we all love Alex. Who else do you get good information from?
Well, it's been a while, but I think when I first transitioned from education to data, I I felt like I was friends with Kenji because he was very good at social media. I
He
would
is
post
super friendly.
something. Yes.
Yes.
He did a Twitter, I think it was called Twitter at the time. He did like
Huh?
different Twitter challenges. I don't know how he did it, but he seemed to respond to everybody's tweets.
Yeah,
And he also had very good information about how to learn things, and he just seemed really personable. So I really
he is.
liked following him. And then he's back. I haven't really caught up exactly what his latest content is about. I think he's focusing on AI, but I haven't had a chance to really dive into it. And I really like Alex's stuff because he's got so much information. Like if I need to figure out like real quick, how do I do something on Tableau? I can generally find out from
Hmm.
one of Alex's videos.
Yeah. How do you take in information? Like what do you do? You know, you got fun and you got learning, but what's in between? How do you get your content fix? Uh-oh, did we freeze? All
Um,
right, slight internet hiccup. If you saw the you folks at home, if you saw the tape kind of chop and we sort of changed we had a Wi-Fi hijink there, but all good. Okay, so we talked about content creators. Great. We are in agreement. Kenji and Alex Freeberg are the men. Okay. Luke Bruce too, but he's a little less prolific than he used to be. Okay. So Claudia, how can people find you or find out more about you? Like where do you hang out? Where do you produce?
I go to LinkedIn and I post there, and I'll send you my I think it's C Amador or CS Amador, but I'll give you the particular link later and you can put it somewhere, maybe. Are you gonna put this stuff on where are you gonna put this stuff?
This will be on YouTube.
Okay, so you can put
Yeah.
it in the notes.
Yes, absolutely. So your LinkedIn, Claudia Amador?
I believe so. I don't remember if there's an initial in there. I have to
Yes.
double
Nope.
check and all my
Just
windows
Claudia
are gone.
Amador, all one word.
Yes.
So,
Yes,
but
yes.
yeah, we'll have it linked in the show notes, and then whatever. I suppose I gotta start legit. But yeah, we'll make sure that it's in there on iTunes and all of those things.
One
Um,
thing I do want to add about that is
yeah.
if I love to connect with people, I'd love to connect with you, viewer, which I hope there are many. Just please, I just ask that you write me a little note that you know me through Albert.
Yes.
I always connect with people who connect with me through Albert. But so make the note because otherwise I'll be wondering and I might not be as quick to accept the connection request.
Yeah. Also, if you're sending connection requests, don't look like a giant creeper. Like, have an actual profile picture. That's just my public service announcement
Yeah,
there.
I do look at the
But
profile and see, oh, why would this person want to connect with
yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah. The quick way to put everybody off is have that blank profile picture. You look like a bot. Don't don't do that. So Claudia's profile picture, very professional. Top marks. Okay. Well, any parting remarks, Claudia? Anything we forgot to get to?
I can't think of anything specific other than to thank you very much, Albert. The first time
Oh,
we connected on LinkedIn, I didn't really know. I think you were just starting what you do, and so I was a little hesitant to like really engage. But now I'm really encouraged by all of what you do, and also it helps motivate me. So I really appreciate what you do.
awesome. I love to hear it. Yeah, what I do, much like the job market, changes like the wind. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to get a little bit more consistent with certain things. I did actually talk to Alex about this very topic, and his advice for me was you got to be consistent, and that is the one thing that I have failed utterly to do. So the mission going forward is let's be consistent with the podcast. Definitely want to get more great people like Claudia on. So my last public service announcement for this episode is, hey, if you are a job seeker, a job grantor, or someone in the hiring chain, recruiter, hiring manager, what have you, or the other category I'm looking for is if you just got a job, I want to know how you did it. And the people out there, like Claudia, want to know how you did it because maybe we can steal all your good tactics and then the other people can get jobs and we can just close this information gap that we've got in the industry. So with that, thank you, Claudia, for being here and being my guest. For everybody at home, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later. Friends, thanks for joining me for a great show. If you'd like to hear more, I'll have the guests' contact info in the show notes below. If you'd like to get involved with Data Career Academy and find out more about what we do, please visit my website, themajordata.com. Or you can join my LinkedIn group for exclusive free content and first looks at what I'm working on. With that, Semper Fidelis, and I'll talk to you later.